I mean, I agree. It's a no-brainer that we should have the right to marry, but I also think equally that it's a no-brainer that the institution of marriage should not exist. So that causes my brain some trouble, and part of it, why it causes me trouble, is because fighting for gay marriage generally involves lying about what we're going to do with marriage when we get there. You know, because we lie that the institution of marriage is not going to change, and that is a lie. The institution of marriage is going to change, and it should change. And again, I don't think it should exist. I don't like taking part in creating fictions about my life. That's sort of not what I had in mind when I came out 30 years ago.
The president's on the line. From Air Force One. President Obama. Go ahead.
Hello, Mr. President. This is Chris Perry.
And Sandy Steer, we thank you so much for your support.
Well, we're proud of you guys, and we're so glad that in California, and more number of things because of your leadership, I think we're getting ready to win. So, you guys should be very proud of today, and, you know, your courage, you're not around a whole lot of people everywhere. So,
thank you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you. And while we celebrate today, we know we've got to roll up our sleeves and get to work for those in the 37 states that didn't get marriage equality today. But we're well on our way, and thank you for your leadership.
You're invited to the wedding.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So there you go, folks. Marriage equality, right? Destroying the family. That first video is Yiddish revolutionary Lesbo admits the plan is to destroy marriage. Remember back in 2012, right around this time, Newsweek cover had Obama the first gay president. So there you go. Supreme Court's DOMA ruling comes as majority now support same-sex marriage. So they struck down the Federal Defense of Marriage Act DOMA, saying in a 5-4 ruling that the federal government cannot disparage marriage recognized by the states. The court also declined to rule on the constitutionality of California's Prop 8, a 2008 ballot measure that amended the state's constitution to ban same-sex marriage. The two rulings come as laws, and public attitudes on the same-sex marriage are changing rapidly ever since the court accepted the cases for review in December. So it says here the Pew Research found in May found that for the first time more than 51% of Americans favored allowing gay men and lesbians to marry. So 72% of Americans believe that legal recognition of same-sex marriage is inevitable, regardless whether themselves favor it or oppose it. So remember, engineered consent. News coverage conveys strong momentum for same-sex marriage. Actually, more statements supporting same-sex marriage outweighed those with more statements opposing it by a margin of roughly 5-1. So we're talking about, in the last video, wealth inequality, who runs the banks, who's the Muslims' biggest enemy. It's Zionist. And who's spreading a lot of this ideology? Zionists. It's used for political control. So again, you can be rest assured those that own the media, that own the banks, own the media, and they're pushing this crap. They're engineering people's consent just to be politically correct. That's why who runs the ADL? Who runs the SPLC? Jews. Zionists. That's what they do. They push this when they themselves, a lot of times, aren't even for it. Much like I said in the previous videos, every other state cannot be a nation state. If you talk about, we want to help our people, we don't hate other people, we're not supremacists, we just want to maintain our culture. You're a racist bigot, like in that sign, bigots. Oh, see, bigots have lost, right? So everybody else cannot have a nation state except for Israel. Police use nobody else can have nuclear weapons except for Israel. Police use systematic violent force against French traditional marriage demonstrators. The report will be presented today at a hearing of the Council of Europe detailing systematic use of excessive and violent force actions by France's socialist government to suppress opposition to the same-sex marriage law. The report on the French, police repression will be presented in conjunction with today's session of the Parliament Assembly, presented at the UN in Geneva. Talking about millions of French citizens participating in peaceful protests throughout France, defending the natural family and rights of children against the French government's new gay marriage law. So there was all kinds of testimonies of victims of police brutality in the course of several mass demonstrations against gay marriage. French mayor lands in court for refusing to recognize same-sex marriage. So covered this about almost a week ago, I think. Gay couple in southwest France on Wednesday filed a criminal complaint against a mayor who refused to wed them in defiance of a landmark law, one of a small band of diehards holding out against same-sex marriage. So a small band of diehards, see, that's to make it seem as if it's consent wasn't engineered, right? They can just say, oh, the pew poll, which I think it's a bunch of bullshit. I don't buy those polls. It's used, that's one of the main tools to engineer consent, just like the media, news, to create a consensus, a false consensus, so that after it happens, and remember, this is done by a minority, right? These are minority issues that are being overrepresented, way too much representation to push these agendas. When they say this crap about a small band of diehards holding out, what they're not talking about is that there's probably a strong minority or almost a majority of French that are actually for traditional family and traditional values, but their voices are being silenced, right? Latin America buckling under anti-life, anti-family imperialism of Obama regime. So it says here, a correspondent from LifeSite News said, I had the pleasure of partaking in the culture and daily life of one of the world's greatest pro-life civilizations, and the sadness of watching it crumble under the ruthless onslaught of depopulation forces from the Northern Hemisphere. The Obama regime is spending hundreds of millions of dollars to propagandize the people of the impoverished regions to bribe their governments to impose the abortion industry on the weakest and most vulnerable countries in the world. It is joined in this by many European states, as well as multi-billion-dollar foundations established for the purpose of world depopulation programs. We just covered this Monday about in Bolivia. They're having, forced abortions? Or sterilizations? Something crazy like that. Obama's State Department is also aggressively undermining the sexual morality of young people and degrading the natural family. Governments that refuse to cave into the homosexual agenda and partake in the destruction of their precarious family cultures are blackmailed by loss of development aid. Despite a courageous response on the part of pro-life and pro-family groups to this terrible onslaught, Latin America is beginning to buckle, and the signs are everywhere. Talk about after many years of resistance in 2007 in Mexico, the International Abortion Lobby achieved its dream with the legalization of killing of unborn in the nation's capital, followed by a Supreme Court ruling that such legislation was constitutional. Also in Uruguay, they legalized the killing of unborn during the first trimester. Also, international pressure pushed on Brazil and the Mexican court systems began forcing homosexual marriages on their countries. Also in Uruguay and Argentina as such approved unions. ADL and the LGBT community, a commitment to equal rights. The Anti-Defamation League has a long-standing commitment to protecting civil rights, particularly those affected the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community, addressing discrimination, hate crimes, and marriage equality. Interesting, I remember covering, they said it was statistics, a poll recently that they said that all those people said that this marriage equality push or gay marriage would end traditional families. Well, you saw what that girl said. That's the point. So marriage equality, in essence, will kill marriages. It'll just be partnerships. So when you're not happy, or whatever, you want to just cheat, you can just go on and jump ship. And never mind the children. If they can go to foster homes, they'll find someone that will love them. Yeah, talking about combating hate and anti-Semitism, this is about chilling free speech, so. Which is why it's so ironic that these groups that push equality and tolerance are the most intolerant bigots there really is. They're not pro free speech at all. They're only pro one side of their speech. I'm just throwing this in there just so I'm not, just pulling this out of thin air. This is, what I was saying at the beginning of the video is coming from some kind of tangible, concept or source, right? The Jewish Federation of Greater Seattle, Bashert, is a T Initiative of Jewish Federation in Seattle reaches out to gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgenders, and questioning Jews in order to build a stronger, more inclusive Jewish community. So, new Tel Aviv Center will help fight violence against gays. The center will help collect data on assaults against members of the gay community and extend legal and psychological support to victims. Just like different international factions, just like in Israel and the Jewish community and Zionists, they have their own factions, their own left-right paradigms. So they'll have the left trying to push that in their own country, and then of course they say no, they don't want it. So then they carry out violence. But you don't see much in the news about that, much like you don't see what they do to the Palestinians. But you will see stories about Russia and how big bad Russia, and there's people in France and Russia beating up on gays. So it's a good time to segue to this article. Russian senators give green light to gay propaganda ban. So the Russia's upper house, the Federation House, has approved a bill introducing fines for propaganda of non-traditional sex relations to minors, including in the media, on the internet, and via viral adverts. It says the controversial bill, which critics fear may spark a wave of homophobia in the country, was approved by the lower house. See, just that statement alone. The vast majority of the population, 88%, are also in favor of the introduction of the ban. So, you know, it's not so much that they're homophobic, it's just that they're not promoting it. They said the draft law is not discriminative against the LGBT people and is only aimed at protecting minors. So, it says there are ordinary equal members of the society as adults are entitled to decide how they want to live, but when it comes to minors, the ban on propaganda is not someone's whim, but a demand from the society. So. And sorry about the audio issue. Hopefully you guys were able to hear me. I could have went back and redid it all, but the commentary, I can't duplicate that commentary. You know what I mean? So hopefully you were able to hear me. Meet the couple who helped change Murkowski's mind on gay marriage. So this is Alaska couple said here, changed Senator Murkowski, Lisa Murkowski's mind about gay marriage, lives in a modest home, Dandelions. So they aren't activists, so they're just regular people. So this is a couple who helped change someone's mind on gay marriage. So this is about engineer consent. Meet the woman behind the Texas abortion filibuster. So one woman, right? Hand it to the women, the females, to carry the torch to this brave new world. The story of State Senator Wendy Davis breaks performance on national stage. So with a few hours left, and the Texas Senate was poised to pass one of the most sweeping abortion restriction bills in the country, banning procedures after 20 weeks of pregnancy and potentially forcing the closure of a majority of the state's abortion clinics. Then a determined woman in pink sneakers brought it all to a halt. Senator Wendy Davis, rising Democratic star, said filibustered the bill into the night and for the time being prevented its passage. She's become a hero for the rights to be able to kill babies. Of course, she's got much support on Twitter. You go, girl. Man, dude, I tell you, if people like this and groups, the shouting mobs like this, actually took this much interest in fighting, say, weather modification or fighting corporate fraud, where these bankers, instead of getting hung, they just walk free and rape them even more, taking fluoride out of the water, not having their children indoctrinated by the state and pumped full of vaccines. Things might actually get done, but no, they focus all this on these issues. So, yeah, see on Twitter it says here, they said here on tweeting, make some noise, louder. So remember, this is Texas. Texas abortionists twisted heads off living babies. So there you go. Pelosi laughs off priest's letter challenging abortion views, says he was acting hysterically. She said here that the arrogance of it all, it's like something ancient and medieval. This is recent too. Fox News cavemen worried about female breadwinners revealed 40% of all households in America with children under 18 include mothers. These are caveman ideas, ancient ideas, because they suggest society is dissolving around us. Yeah, we're going to hell in a handbasket. Remember, physicist Mr. Kaku on terrorism said there's two trends. One trend is towards planetary civilization. That trend is towards science, prosperity, learning, and tolerance. But the second trend is towards chaos and anarchy. Action against the drive towards planetary civilization, because terrorists do not like civilization that's scientific, tolerant, and believes in science. They would rather go back 1,000 years into the past. You see what I'm trying to... The point I'm trying to make here, guys? If you're a traditionalist, you're a terrorist. Are you pro-life? You might be considered a terrorist by the Obama regime. vandal caught on camera throwing a large rock through a window of Operation Rescue's office. It used to be an abortion clinic that's been closed in Kansas. It was done by a leftist. FBI, shooter opens fire on conservatives. He was what? He was a leftist. So he can't be a terrorist.